So this is interesting. First of all, the way I have felt about when is the last time you watched the Olympics?
Oh, man. Probably Phelps, right?
Do adults still watch the Olympics? Does anyone care? Can we stop pretending that this matters in anyone's life? This is not diplomacy anymore, like this idea that it's like, it's sportsmanship and it's diplomatic and it helps international relations to have people. It does it? Do the Palestinians have a delegation and the Israeli, and that's going to matter if Israel and Palestine play volleyball? Is that really going to matter? I understand at a time, potentially, but right now I think things are at the point now where no one cares anymore about this. Adults do not watch. Children watch it. My dad and me used to watch it. We used to watch the Olympics because people had fun names like Peekaboo Street, that skiing, or there was a speed skater named Hey Chavo. We liked that. And you'd watch it with you. I'd sit there with my dad and we'd eat Haagen-Dazs ice cream and fast food, and we'd watch the Olympics. And then, they would have all these inspiring stories of people, but the stories now have gotten so hellish. They've gotten so disturbing that, and first of all, have you ever met anyone that got close to the Olympics or qualified for the Olympics and went and didn't place? These are the most destroyed people you'll ever meet. Like my friend's sister, went to the Olympics in volleyball, nothing happened. And she just, the woman is a wreck. She's just like a tall beanstalk of a woman. And we'll tell people she went to the Olympics, but nothing came out of it. So it's only nice if you're winning a medal, truly. Otherwise, and it used to be she was the youngest of 6 kids and she used to ski going down the stairs. They were heartwarming stories about the Olympians. She used to put on, she used to take her brother's, skateboard and pretend that it was a snowboard, and she would go down the stairs and then she became the greatest skier. Now the stories, because life has gotten harrowing, the stories are so horrible now that you're just worried about the people that are in the Olympics. It's too much of a pressure cooker. Bring up that article I told you about this. This article, listen to this, by the way. Listen to this. This is the title of the CNN article. Depression drove her close to suicide. Now, Olympian Raven Saunders wants to, quote, destigmatize mental health. And good for her, but the idea that she was close to suicide and then she discovered the shot put is troubling. Since returning from the 2016 Rio Olympics, her mental health had spiraled. Sitting at the wheel of her car, her mind was now drawn to a dark place from which there seemed to be no return. As she circled past a drop-off along the Mississippi Highway, the urge to veer off the road towards the towering trees below was almost overwhelming. This is nice, huh? This will be a nice montage they do. Just have her sitting in her car. They'll recreate it. They're like, can you take us through the route where you thought about driving off the highway? We want to film it. We want to have a little compilation before you go up and lose. It was no one really understood the pain and the challenges I was going through. Saunders, who placed 5th in the shot put. This is what I mean. If they go and it doesn't happen, it's curtains. It got worse and worse and worse and worse till it all boiled over. I remember in the morning just going through the motions, kind of being in a daze, having things to do, but not really having any motivation or any care to really get anything done. Then hopping in my car and driving and looking at that spot. A few months before, Saunders had considered how the chances of survival would be slim if someone was to drive off the edge of the same drop-off she now circled past. However, it was an impromptu text to a former therapist, really a last-ditch effort that saved her life. She soon received a response Was it BetterHelp? Providing her with the reassurance and courage to go home and get the help she needed. Today, she's preparing for the Olympic trials in June with the prospect of her second Olympics looming. She wants to, quote, destigmatize mental health and help others who, like her, can get caught up in cycles of depression and anxiety. So these are the types of stories you're going to hear at the Tokyo Olympics. I mean, if you think, there's not going to be any more cute, like, stories where it was like, this athlete, we always knew they were special. It's going to be like, I wanted to hang myself. And then I decided that my only hope was fucking synchronized swimming. I had an eating disorder for many years where I would vomit up everything that I ate. But then I realized that positioned me perfectly to be a synchronized swimmer. And I like it because only my legs show and the rest of my body's in the water, because I still can't look at myself without wanting to purge. But I can look at my feet, and those are the only things that come out of the water. I keep them perfectly pointed. I mean, get ready for the tragedy like you have never. It's going to be, and it used to be like they were athletes, and it was like, great athletes that had like worked their entire lives at being athletes. Now it's just going to be people who you're worried about and you don't think they should. You actually go, we don't think you should go. We don't think you should do this. Like after I read that, I go, I don't know if you should do this. What happens if you lose again? What happens if she comes in and this time she comes in 7th? It's back to the car. Isn't it? That's a problem. She's going to be driving on that same fucking stretch of highway. It's going to be sad. And now with COVID, there's going to be like some memorial in Japan to COVID, which people are still dying of COVID, by the way.
Yeah, Osaka's getting
ravaged. They're getting ravaged. So what they're going to do is like, they're just going to release like, those lanterns into the air, and one represents everybody who is still in a hospital bed. It's going to be a very strange Olympics, I think. We don't need it. We can skip it. No one believes that they're going to be in the Olympics, by the way. Like very few people get into the Olympics. Nobody, like my mother was a swim coach, and I think a few of those people got to the Olympic trials. It's very, very tough to get into the actual Olympics. It doesn't motivate anybody. It might, but I just don't think it matters anymore. It doesn't really matter anymore. And I don't remember the last time anyone I know has said, did you see the Olympics? I don't care. I don't root for America. I don't care who wins. I don't really care. That's the other thing. Does anyone give a shit if your country beats another country? No one really cares anymore. We've gotten soft here. We're probably going to lose. And aren't these people all junked up anyway? Aren't these a bunch of drug addicts? They have to test them like 9 times to make sure they're not like skin popping steroids in the locker room right before they get in the pool. Aren't these all junkies anyway? Yeah. We've just created a race of junkies to perform. These people, some of them have natural talent, but everybody's doping. That's what the Olympics is. It's like a bunch of lab rats doping, and I don't get inspired by it, is my point. I'm uninspired by the Olympics. I don't need it, and I don't know why you need it. But it's an antiquated idea. I understand that people think it's important, but it's not. Just leave it alone. That's my take on it. I don't need to see a bunch of drug addicts run around and do hurdles. I can skip that, and I think you should too. And I don't need all the stories about she was raised by a single mother in the bayou, you know? And now she does hurdles. Good. Good.